The date was March 17th, 2020, when Tom Brady informed the football world that he would not be re-signing with the New England Patriots. Just 3 days later, Tom took his talents to Tampa Bay, and the rest is history. But what if Tom never signed with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? What if he decided to stay with the team that took him with the 199th pick in the 2000 NFL Draft? You know, the team that would win 6 Super Bowls with Tom Brady. Would the Patriots win the Super Bowl in 2020 if they had Tom Brady? Or would they not even make the playoffs? Would the Buccaneers still be good without Brady? Well, that's what we are going to be getting into in this video. Before we get into this though, I just want to let you know that I will only be changing the outcomes of the games of the Patriots, Buccaneers, and the team Cam Newton went to, and every decision I make will be based on what we've seen in the 2020 NFL season. In free agency, the Bucs re-signed Jameis Winston after leading the NFL in passing yards, and Cam Newton goes to the football team to compete with Alex Smith and Dwayne Haskins for the starting job. Also, Rob Gronkowski stays retired, and Antonio Brown goes to the Saints after Week 8 because of all the bad blood between him and Robert Kraft. Week 1, nothing changes but Brady's stat line. He throws for almost 300 yards and 2 touchdowns. Week 2, nothing changes again. They lose to Seattle, and if you disagree, just remember that this Week 2 game was Cam's best game all year last year. So Week 2 is one of the only weeks where having Tom isn't a game changer. This also means Wilson is now 3-0 versus Brady in the regular season. Week 3, Patriots still win, but Brady outperforms how Cam would have played. Week 4 was the toughest game I had to change because Cam got COVID and Hoyer had one of the worst games an NFL QB has ever had. But despite Hoyer and Edelman's poor performance, this game was still close. Therefore, with Brady, the Patriots pull off an upset in Arrowhead as betting underdogs. After the bye week, Tom Brady and the Patriots would beat the Broncos barely to move to a record of 4-1. But next week versus the 49ers, Tom had his traditional game where he plays very bad and the Niners destroy the Patriots. Not as much though this time with Tom around, but they still lose. Also, remember, this was Jimmy Garoppolo's revenge game, and the 49ers offense for the most part was healthy this game. Next week, the Patriots beat their division rivals by 10 points, and Brady has another good showing. Brady goes off versus the Jets to bring the Pats to a 6-2 record halfway through the season. However, Edelman gets hurt with a hamstring injury and is scheduled to miss some time. Next week in New England, the weather plays to the Patriots' advantage, like it did with Cam, and they steamroll the Ravens. Lamar and the Ravens struggle in the cold. No Edelman, no problem. This hot streak continues as Deshaun Watson is no match for the Pats, as they lose by 2 touchdowns. And the same goes for Kyler Murray when they lose also by 2 touchdowns. Edelman returns versus the Chargers, and they beat them badly, but they don't shut them out like they did with Cam. The Patriots are currently 10-2 and look unstoppable. That is until Thursday Night Football, when the Rams defense puts the beat down on Tom Brady. And for the second time this year, the Pats lose by more than 2 touchdowns. This cold streak continues to Miami as Brady yet again falls to the Dolphins on Miami's turf. And then, in a shocker, the Bills beat the Patriots to give the Pats 3 straight losses. The media starts to point fingers all across the board, and Skip Bayless, or should I say Skip Jordan Brady Tebow Bayless, continues to blame the Patriots' bad play on their receiving corps and Bill Belichick. Despite this media outrage, the Patriots take care of business versus the Jets and go 11-5 on the year. Tom Brady throws for 34 touchdowns and 10 interceptions, but throws for over 4,600 yards. The NFL awards remain the exact same. As for the Buccaneers, they go 9-7 instead of 11-5 and get the 7th seed in the NFC. The 2 games they lost that they beat with Brady are versus the Chargers and the Giants, which means the Giants win the NFC East. The football team still goes 7-9 with Cam Newton, who only starts 3 games, which he goes 1-2 in those 3 games, but now miss the playoffs because the Giants win the NFC East. And for the first time since 2008, the Patriots did not win the AFC East because the Bills went 12-4, and instead the Patriots take the 5th seed. Meanwhile, the Bills still have the 2nd seed. Now let's go through the new change 2020 playoff picture. As you can see, Tom didn't just change the AFC bracket, but he changed the NFC as well. In the wildcard round, the Saints beat the Buccaneers in a surprisingly close game, and Jameis Winston ends up throwing 2 interceptions, but on the bright side, he wins the MVP. The Seahawks beat the Bears in a close one as well, even though on paper they should have killed them. In the last NFC wildcard matchup, the Red Hot Giants shocked the world and beat the Rams by 3 in a closely contested defensive battle. You can't fool Belichick twice. The Patriots are able to tame down Derrick Henry and get their revenge in the wildcard rematch from the 2019 season. Speaking about revenge, Cody Parkey gets his revenge on the upright as the 7th seed Browns pull off an upset versus the Bills by a game-winning field goal. Instead of making fun of the Browns this time around, Juju attacks Lamar and goes along the lines of considering Lamar a running back. The Steelers are able to shut down Lamar, however, like they did in the regular season. We have reached the divisional round of the 2020 NFL playoffs, and like the wild card round, there is a lot of revenge games here. Saints beat the Seahawks by 10 plus and get their revenge from the NFC divisional round that happened 7 years previous. The Packers beat the Giants in a divisional rematch from the 2011 season to take their revenge, which means we finally get a Breeze vs. Rodgers playoff matchup after all these years. In the AFC divisional, Chiefs beat the Browns. However, I'm going to say due to the butterfly effect, this game does not end controversial this time. And I know I'm going to get hate for this, but I don't see any way the Patriots beat the Steelers with no receiver help and a banged up defense. The game is still close, but the Steelers beat the Patriots in overtime. Packers destroy the Saints in Lambeau, and Rodgers finally wins the NFC Championship game since the 2011 season. The Chiefs destroy the Steelers in a not even close affair in the AFC Championship, which means we have a rematch of Super Bowl I on our hands. And Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs win in an amazing Super Bowl versus the Packers. And in a revengeful playoff bracket, the Chiefs get their revenge over the Packers just 54 years later. And I came to this decision because, as I said, the rewards remain the exact same, which means Aaron Rodgers won MVP, and we all know about the MVP curse. So there you have it. In my scenario, I have Brady taking the Pats to a 11-5 record and losing in the divisional. The Patriots had no receiving weapons, the most opt-out players, and the hardest schedule in the NFL. I know it's Tom Brady, but I don't think the Patriots would have made the Super Bowl with an upgrade at QB. They just had too many problems elsewhere than just quarterback in 2020. Anyways, thank you guys for watching, and tell me how you think Tom Brady would have panned out if he chose to stay in New England.